Hello and welcome to the channel. I'm your host, Dimion. For those who don't know, I'm a strongman in South Africa, from South Africa as well. Um, and, well, this is an update. I haven't posted a video at all for the last few months. It's May now. Last one was in Jan, maybe February, I'm not sure. And, well, yeah, quite a few things have happened since then, quite exciting things. And I'm here to give you the news. So, yeah, let's get into it. So, as you might recall in my previous video, I think that was the update about what happened at Africa's Strongest Man. I expressed a few of my goals, which were a 240 kilo deadlift, a 200 pound overhead press, so 91 kilos, and something on bench. I think it was 120 kilos. And there were a few other things, but they were more long-term, and I was, at that point, busy in a training block to hit those specific PRs. And, well, here's the news on them. Let's start with the deadlift, because that's the one that went the worst. So, first off, here is what I decided to do was essentially go up in 10 kilo increments from 200 kilos up to my goal, which was 240, and have an AMRAP at it each week. I did not realize at that point that was way too much fatigue, way too close together. I should have done it over 2 week increments instead of 1 week increments. But here is the second week, which was 210 kilos for a triple. So as you can see, that wasn't exactly easy. A very difficult set. You can see my lower back is terrible there, but I do not want any comments about how bad my form is, okay? I do not care. It's something I should fix, but at this point, it's an AMRAP, so it's allowable. Also, it's not like my back is increasing in flexion to a large degree during the rep. I kind of pull that way. That's just the way that I pull. Anyways, next thing, when we got to the 220 week, I pulled the 220, but I don't have video of it because I'd pulled 220 before, so why film it? And the next week was 230. And on that day, I actually made a mistake. I misloaded 230 as 220, and on that day, I was kind of doubtful of what technique to use. See, recently before that, my brother, his best deadlift was 250, and one day he decided to pull strapless, and he pulled 272.5. Now, in hindsight, that was probably because he'd been using a suit, and before that, while using the suit, his deadlift hadn't gone up, and then suddenly strapless suit, so he was probably getting more pop out of the suit. That did not click for me, and so I decided, well, let me try and pull 230 with no equipment whatsoever. Of course, it was 220, not 230, but I did it, and well, I finished the rep. It's 220. Here you see. So you can see, made the rep, lost a bit of balance there. It wasn't my easiest rep at 220, but ever. I think the easiest 2 rep at 220, ironically, was the first one, ever. I mean, but then I realized I was 220, not 230, and so I slapped on 230 and. So yeah, 230 did not go, but at that point, and I mean even now, I can rationalize it as I did the 220 thinking it was 230. I burnt myself out both physically and mentally, so it made sense to me, and that's why I didn't cut the progression. And so the next week I did have to take off because there was a problem. Essentially, I was benching 3 times a week, strict pressing 3 times a week, doing jujitsu twice, some weeks 3 times a week, and deadlifting like that and squatting. So in particular, my elbows, just the sheer tendonitis was crippling. So I took that week off, and the next week I came back to pull 240, and yeah, did not get it. So as you can probably guess, I was not feeling good at that moment. It was very strange to me because I'd tripled 210, I pulled 220 multiple times, and sometimes it was actually not really that hard. And I'd gotten 240 to halfway up my shins before, almost to my knees. But this time it did not want to cooperate with me. Uh, so I asked my brother for advice, and he told me that he would write me a deadlift progression. Because at this point, I figured, well, I can't manage to reliably get my deadlift to increase. So let me see if he can do it. And so he wrote me a different split, which was a 2 week deadlift split. He only programmed my deadlifts for me. I did everything else. And so how it worked was the main lift as well as the variations change each week, or week to week, because it's 2 weeks. But the accessories stay the same. The accessories are stiff-legged deadlift, which is a 2x6 to 10, and back extensions, which were 2x10 to 15, and that was a drop set. And the deadlift and its main variation on week A was a deadlift, and then minus 20 kilos off of that weight, 3x3 back offsets, and then the variation was a pause deadlift where lift off the ground and then pause at about an inch off of the ground as you go back down again, and that was, I think that was 3x6. And then the week B was a 16-inch pull and a pull from just about halfway up the shins, so just a little bit higher than a normal deadlift. The reason we did that was because I was initially planning on competing at a competition with a silver dollar deadlift this year, but then it turned out not. So it just kind of, we did it for the sake of having a little bit of time to get out of that fatigue of the week A. And so from the first week that I did, I pulled the 180, and here's the video of it. So something that I haven't mentioned yet was that during all of this, I was actually bulking pretty hard. At Africa's Strongest Man last year, end of October, I weighed about 90 kilograms. There was some days where I was 91, some days 89, so fluctuating between that area. But when I finished my bulk, which was end of January, I weighed 96.2 kilos. So quite substantial weight gain, 6.2 kilos, over the course of, I think that's 70 days from when I started actually bulking, which was just after Africa's. My brother and I actually, we decided to race to 100 kilos body weight. But then when I came to university, I ride my bike everywhere. I just could not maintain the caloric intake in order to continue gaining weight. So I had to jump out of the race, and for other reasons, he also jumped out of the race. Although at that point I was still weighing more than him, so if I did not have to cycle around everywhere, I would definitely have beaten him. Anyways, so I actually have the stats right here, but I'll go over them at the end of the video because since the bulk, I have actually lost some weight. So yeah. Anyways, the next thing the reason why I brought that up. So that 180 video, while I was bulking, I'm not the type of guy to take a lot of photos with my shirt off, but that is about the closest that I have. So it just kind of displays the sheer girth and engorged size of my body at 96 kilos. I mean, you can see in the arm where there's like zero definition, but you can still see the shapes just because of how the fat lies. It's great. In other words, yet another reason to love the deadlift, because at the top, you get that beautiful squeeze of the arms, and everyone sees just how yoked you are. Anyways, on to the next thing on our docket. We have the strict press. So I said, my goal was to do a 200-pound strict press, which is 91 kilos. Technically, 91 kilos is like 201 pounds, but it's the closest kilogram increment to 200 pounds. And, well, I mean, it's pretty simple. I mean, here's the video. Now, you may be looking at that video thinking to yourself, wait a second, his knees, they bend. And you would be partially correct. And just to reinforce what you may think, here's another angle of the video, because fortunately on that day I had my mother and my brother there, and both decided to film for me. Well, to answer your question, yes. During that rep, my knees went from a soft lock to a hard lock. I'm sorry. I've betrayed your trust. What kind of person would I be? What kind of person am I, having done something like that? To betray you like that? It can't stand. Well, it kind of does. You see, I did not attempt 91 kilos again because, in my personal opinion, though it is a bit iffy, I think that should count as a rep. I don't think I got any sort of force, assistive force from my knees having that slight amount of bend. And in fact, I would not classify that as knee bend. I would classify it as going from a soft lock to a hard lock. You see, my legs can overextend. That's a lock, that's overextension. I may have messed up the angle there, but nonetheless, the point stands that in that video, I did not go from unlocked knees to locked knees. I went from locked knees to even more locked knees. And so I went in front of the Council of Bros and asked if it counts, and I saw a little bit of a glimpse of doubt in my brother's eyes, but after thinking about it for literally half a second, he went, yeah, sure. And everyone else there also agreed. So for me, it counts. You can decide it doesn't, but for me, it counts. 91 kilo strict press all the way. Yeah. Anyways, next thing on the docket is bench press. What did I say? 120 bench press. Same thing as strict press. It's not that complicated. Just bench a lot, very close to failure and past failure, and that's how you grow your bench. Bench press is like the easiest movement to grow. I should not be saying that. I have a terrible bench, but it genuinely is the easiest one to grow. You literally just have to bench more. It's really not complicated. So yeah, here's the 120 bench in 2 angles as well. And of course, after that, I attempted 125, but sadly, I did not get it. I have a strange philosophy about these things. I like failing in every session. So I don't like hitting a PR and then not trying heavier than that. I like hitting a PR and then going higher. The only cases where I don't do that is if I go for a weight, fail it, and then make it. Then often I won't go for another attempt higher than that because that kind of proves to me that I hit my max. But if I go through all the weights without failing, I need to fail. It's very strange, but yeah, here's... Come on. See, I was very excited with that 120 bench because my bench has always been terrible, especially in relation to everything else. So actually having a not terrible bench, it's still behind in comparison to everything else, but having a not completely terrible bench is great. It fills me with a warm and fuzzy feeling inside. Um, anyway, so next thing is the squat. So you may not know this. I started university this year, which means I moved, and now I actually go to a gym. I don't just train at home. I don't just toss around rocks like a caveman. I go to an actual barbell and plates gym. It's scary, actually. And what I'd been doing alongside that new deadlift program at this point was that I was squatting once a week, 3 by 5, in incrementally increasing by 2.5 kilos, which is like 5 pounds. Uh, and eventually, one day I just decided, you know what? Uh, Let me just hit a PR because I want to. And I squatted 190. For those of you who don't know, my AKA not my mom, because she knows everything. My previous PR was 180, and that was 190 out of nowhere, seemingly. Obviously, not out of nowhere, like I had been training, but that training did not feel nearly as hard as the training for squats that I have done in the past. Which, I don't think anything can be as hard as that, except for like I don't know, being a good father. That's probably quite difficult. Um, something esoteric like that. Anyways, right after that, I attempted 200. Sadly, did not make it. Really sad was sad because I had a PR by 10 kilos that I had not really been planning on. Even though I had been training, I hadn't been peaking, I hadn't been planning on a PR. And then a few weeks later, I wanted to see if I could do 200. And I took my brother's weightlifting shoes. I think they threw me off because this was the first time I'd squatted heavy with weightlifting shoes on, so I did not make it that time either. Just want to note, I just realized I was talking about a failed squat like it was someone who died. I was like, sadly, he didn't make it. It's like it's strange how emotionally invested we can get into things, and also strange how malleable language is. Like you can just kind of use different phrases in different places. Anyways, next thing, some miscellaneous lifts that I did that I don't have footage of. First is I did a single-handed 55 kilo snatch. So that's from ground to overhead with the one hand. And I don't know how to do hip contact, so no hip contact for those who know. I did a 100 kilo muscle clean and push press, just cause. For those who don't know, muscle clean is when you take a bar from the ground to your collarbones with like you can start with your knees bent, but when you catch it at the top, your knees are straight. So let me back up. The way I do it is like this. I don't even know if my head was in frame there, but if it wasn't, just imagine my face looking as absolutely stunningly handsome as it does right now. So yeah, there was that. Also did a 150 kilo front squat, and yeah, that's that. Back to things we have footage for. So next thing, after that whole 91 kilo strict press, I tried to increase my strict press further, but as I was losing body weight, because of the sheer amount of cardio riding your bike does, I found that I couldn't really press as much anymore. And I also realized there's something called cyclist's tendonitis, which is if you put too much weight forward while cycling, you can actually get tendonitis. So I started doing some rehab stuff for that. That was just wrist curls and wrist extensions, mostly the extensions, but I figured if I do the one, I might as well do the other one as well. which I don't think that's mainly responsible for the absolute size of these bad boys, but might have something to do with it. Anyways, so I started refocusing from strict press on the push press. And after a few weeks, I decided, well, how do you train strict press? How does one? If you are prepping for a strongman event, then you do reps. But if not, aka if you're happy with your life, because one does not simply prep for strongman events just cause. You just do singles. So the way that I did that was just to max out every week, essentially. But not really maxing out, because, you know, if you get your actual max after like 6 weeks, then the first one was not maxing. But technically it's a PR, because my previous push press PR on a barbell was 100 kilos, which I had then equaled with the muscle clean and push press. And so I decided, let me just do that. First week, did 105, next week 108, next week 112. No, 110. I didn't do 108. I did 105, 110, and then tried 112, but couldn't make it. So my heaviest on that day was 105, and then tried 110 again, made it. And then the next week, I tried 115, failed it. Next week went back, and I made 115. So you can see the sheer amount of leg drive, the sheer thrust put into that lift just by heaving and hoisting upwards. I posted on Instagram and I wrote what I have coined my thesis on it, where I basically wrote the push press is the greatest exercise that exists, and no one does it because they're stupid and low IQ and such things. Also low testosterone, because obviously. So yeah, that was the push press, of which I'm very proud, by the way. That also means that I think that means my push press equals my brother's best behind the neck push press, which is pretty dope. And yeah, and then finally the last two things that I have videos for are I went back to see my mother one weekend, and there was a sandbag, and I decided let me just carry it around. And my brother had to take the sandbag somewhere, so I put it in the car. So I first did a sandbag shoulder.
Nice.
Which I have done before, but I've never recorded it, so there you have a video of it. And then I also did the sandbag carry all the way to the car, which is uphill, mind you, and very fast. You can see, I think I'm in pretty good shape right now. Now, as for the next thing, body weight. So, last year, mid-November, I was 90 kilos. This year, mid-Jan, end of January, actually, I think 20th of January, something like that, I was 96.2 kilos. Oh wait, poundages. 90 kilos is 198 pounds, 96.2 is 212 pounds. About a month and a half ago, 44 days to be exact, I was 92 kilos, or 203 pounds. Right now, I am 86.6 kilos, or 191 pounds. In other words, over the last 181 days since November, I have lost 3.4 kilos net, which is 7.5 pounds. Uh, over the last 110 days, um, aka January, I'm down 9.6 kilos, which is 21 pounds. In the last 44 days, which is when I started deliberately cutting. Before that, it was just the sheer cardio, not eating enough because I was busy. Um, I have lost, in the last 44 days, 5.4 kilograms or 11.9 pounds. Um, so that's essentially 1.2, 1.3 kilos every 10 days. Um, and that's all of the weight loss and the weight gain from 90 kilos to 96.2 over the course of 71 days, gained 6.2 kilos or 14 pounds. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty effective weight gain and weight loss. Also, just for display, got the don't have very good lighting here, but you can nonetheless see looking pretty lean, quite dense. Yeah, I don't know how to flex my delts while they're pushed out in front of me like that, but yeah, I mean, I'm looking big, feeling big, even though I'm smaller. I mean, when I put my belt on, just because at the moment hypertrophy, so I don't really put it on that often, but it's my belt. It's a part of me. I can feel that it's looser. Um, I have very strange fat distribution. Um, according to estimates, I'm just over 15% body fat. I would agree with that. So about 16%. Could be 15, but let's say 16. Um, but my torso looks like I'm 20% because I have almost zero ab definition. I feel like I am going to be I'm going to be Ronnie Coleman in his prime. 0.333% percent body fat from a DEXA scan. Actually, no, because DEXA scans, it could be 7%. I will be 0.333% in actuality, and I will still not have abs. I will have been 3 years since my last sexual thought, and I will still not have abs. I will. I could honestly be owed fat by the universe. I could be negative in fat and still not have visible abs. I don't know why. It just is that way. My legs are pretty lean. I mean, I got like my arms are pretty lean, particularly my forearms, but just zero ab definition. I don't know why. Even my back, there's no fat on my back, but my abs, these things right here, it's terrible. Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, there's my update. Stay tuned because I'm gonna actually post something. I have an idea for a rant about how special you are and how special you can be, in particular in relation to the 1%. The 1%. Not like the Jews type of thing, rather in the sense of genetic anomalies and performance base. Anyways, yeah, I hope you guys have a blessed week, and may God be with you. Cheers.